Hello and welcome to the very first God is a Geek Retrocast Extra. This is Lee, and for this very special episode I'm actually going to talk you through some of the games that have recently been made available on the Wii U's Virtual Console service. First up, we're going to take a look at F-Zero, one of the Super Nintendo's early launch titles. A futuristic racer years before Psygnosis' Wipeout was released on the PlayStation, F-Zero was a great technical demonstration for the SNES's famous Mode 7 graphical effects, as seen on the tracks that your chosen vehicle drives around. Like all of the other games you'll see in this roundup, F-Zero was previously made available on the original Wii's Virtual Console, and if you already own those versions then you automatically get discount on the Wii U editions. Now these new versions feature the ability to create restore points that you can use to save your progress on the fly. The Wii U will also upscale the video on these classic games to whatever resolution your console is set to, and even ensure that your games are in their proper aspect ratio. And finally, you can of course play all these games on your Wii U gamepad, and they also look very good on that screen as well. With 4 selectable vehicles, 15 tracks split over 3 different cups, and 4 difficulty settings, you have a recipe for one of the 16-bit's most impressive racing games. After all this time, F-Zero holds up very well and is still a fast, exciting racer that I think is definitely worth picking up. Many years before Trials HD, we had Nintendo's very own Excitebike to bring the thrills and spills of dirt biking to the home consoles. Released in 1984, it was a very early Nintendo Entertainment System game, as indicated by the famous black box package design that was adopted by many other NES games in that time period. It's an incredibly simplistic game that features 2 modes. In Selection A, it's just you and a track full of ramps, bumps and other obstacles. Section B is very much the same, only this time around you'll have other bikers to avoid. Of course, the aim in both modes is to get a fast enough time for a podium finish and tackle the next challenge. Excitebike also features a track designer that allows you to make your own challenging tracks. Unlike the original NES game that didn't allow you to save your creations, this version allows you to save one track. Unfortunately, there is no ability to share these tracks with anyone online, which is kind of a missed opportunity to be honest. I'm hesitant to recommend Excitebike as it lacks depth and hasn't aged well. Plus, a far better version of the game already exists for download on the Nintendo 3DS, a version that features a clever 3D perspective of the action. As it stands, this just isn't worth picking up. Another black box game is Ice Climber, yet another example of an early NES title that's once again very simplistic. Playing alone or with a friend, you must travel up a perilous mountain, avoiding all manners of beasties and other hazards. The main issue with this platform game is that your character controls absolutely terribly. Movement is slow and the jumps are still too sluggish and imprecise to get where you need to go. This is one of those games that Nintendo regularly re-releases, and honestly I don't know why they bother. You're best off leaving this game well alone. Staying with the NES, this is Punch-Out! Much like how NBA Jam is for basketball, Punch-Out! Is much less a boxing sim and more of a brilliant arcade game that just happens to be loosely based on the sport. It's very much a series of pugilistic boss fights, where learning each opponent's moves and telegraphs are the order of the day. The sprites are big and chunky, and detailed with enough character to convey each opponent's ways of telegraphing their punches. Originally released as Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, with the infamous boxer acting as the game's final boss, due to licensing issues this is the later version of the game that replaces Tyson with the palette swap Mr. Dream. This game is still great, still challenging and still incredibly fun to play, and it's a definite recommendation from me. Our last NES game this time around is Donkey Kong Jr., the sequel to the arcade game that put Nintendo on the map as an arcade developer. As the elder Kong's son, you must rescue Daddy from evil Mario, one of the few occasions where the world's famous plumber is actually the bad guy. A series of 4 single-screened levels are all that's keeping you from seeing everything this game has to offer, and even then it can get pretty tough due to unfair enemy placement and the fact that if you fall too far, you instantly die, which will happen a lot. There's just too little to be excited about in this game. It lacks the iconicness of its predecessor, and it just simply isn't as fun to play. Give it a miss. Our final game of this Wii U Virtual Console Roundup is Super Mario World. And I say with utter confidence and honesty that not only is this the best Super Mario game, it's absolutely perfect. Despite being the SNES launch title over 2 decades ago, this game has not aged one bit. Graphically, it's colourful and full of character, the level design is immaculate, and the gameplay is just simply phenomenal. With over 96 exits to find and over each of the levels in Dinosaur Land, this is platforming nirvana and is highly recommended whether you played the game through already or not. So as you can see, it's a mixed bag from Nintendo's initial Wii U Virtual Console offerings. Sadly, all of these games have already been seen on the original Wii's Virtual Console, but at least now these versions are all the American NTSC editions, running at full speed and full screen with no borders, unlike those on the original Wii. Thanks for tuning in to this extra special episode of the God is a Geek Retrocast, and as always you can check us out every Tuesday morning. Until next time, happy gaming!